So, what's going to happen with DEI in higher education? Well, a story by Erica Pandy for Axios summarizes the extent to which colleges and universities are shutting down DEI initiatives, programs, and even offices. Now, some of this is being done as an act of pre-compliance, meaning that they're doing so without being directly asked or forced to do so. They're doing it in a way to preempt having to do so or being told by someone else that they need to do it. So they're doing it so no one else can tell them not to do it or to do it because they've already done it. Got it? This is because of actions taken on the state level in places like Texas and Florida, amongst many other states, where even the discussion of DEI related topics have been banned from university classrooms and university campuses. As a candidate, Donald Trump has vowed to end wokeness in education, even proposing using federal money as leverage to force schools to comply with his directive. In looking at what this might mean in terms of what's getting banned, these topics include classroom lessons on gender identity and structural racism, abolish diversity and inclusion offices, and keep transgender athletes out of girls' sports. In fact, on day one, he has promised to make an executive order that will ban transgender girls from playing in girls' sports. You might be wondering, well, how much power does the president have to influence what happens on college campuses? It turns out that the federal government can have a lot of leverage because of schools' reliance on federal dollars in the forms of things like Pell Grants, research grants, and student loans. The president can, quote, cut federal funding to schools and colleges that fail to follow civil rights laws. Given all of the legal action and legal decisions around admissions and the presence of programs that are intended to help marginalized student groups, there is a very real possibility a court could decide that these programs violate civil rights laws, creating an opportunity to withhold federal dollars from schools who do not get rid of their DEI courses, programs, and initiatives. And when we look at the issue of pre-compliance, it would probably only take a few schools to deal with the situation of being directly ordered to get rid of these programs, for many others to pre-comply, to follow along, to cut these programs on their own without being told to do so, just to avoid any potential challenges from the federal government. It will remain to be seen how all of this turns out. If the Department of Education is completely eradicated, as the incoming administration has promised to do, or is called to do, then it's hard to see how using student grants and loans as leverage is even possible because it's the Department of Education which oversees student grants and loans. So if you don't have the Department of Education to do student grants and loans, you can't really use it as leverage and threaten to take it away because it might be already be gone. Regardless of what exactly happens on day one, or two, or three, or four, we are going to be seeing some broad scale changes in how these topics and programs are run in higher education. We've already seen that in different states, as I've mentioned, like Texas and Florida, and others where the state has told state-run institutions you can no longer talk about these things, teach these things, or promote these things. So what do you think about eradicating DEI programs, topics, and offices on college campuses? What do you think about the federal government basically limiting free speech under the auspices of civil rights laws to say you can't talk about that here? Love to hear your thoughts.